Ready? Okay. I am going to begin my review of Reading Packet 1 with Before You Begin. And the reason is because I'm a huge fan of inspirational quotes. If you look behind me in my office, I have created my own inspirational wall filled with quotes by famous writers to inspire me as I write. Of the quotes before you begin, I really like Albert Einstein's, "In the midst of difficulty lies opportunity." As I was reading What is Entrepreneurship, I found myself to be self-reflective, thinking about my own experiences, both personal and professional, in the workforce, as I have worked for large corporations, small businesses, and startups. While reading the sections, Rewards of Being an Entrepreneur, Making Your Own Rules, I thought, this is painting a much rosier picture than reality. I thought about a friend of mine who owns a restaurant, and I helped her out when she first opened. She had to wait tables when employees didn't show up. She was afraid to leave the business when the doors were open for fear that something wouldn't be done right. And she didn't get paid if it was a slow week because she had to pay the employees first. As I kept reading, I found my thoughts addressed under this section, Risk of Being an Entrepreneur. I 100% agree with the advantages point, doing work you enjoy. I have worked where the only advantage to the job I was doing was the paycheck. And I've had jobs that challenged and motivated me. And it is a much greater reward when you enjoy what you are doing. In the section on the history of entrepreneurship, I found it interesting that they talked about Albert Einstein as an entrepreneur, because from all my history lessons, I thought of him as an inventor and never really associated the two terms. In the section Characteristics of an Entrepreneur, as I was reading the statistics of minority ownership and how it has increased, I thought of a business that I know where the entrepreneur, a man, when setting up the legal entity of the business, gave controlling interest to his wife so that it would qualify as a minority-owned business because of the advantages given to such businesses. The status of minority-owned has worked in his favor when competing for contracts. The characteristics of successful entrepreneurs was an interesting section as I continue my self-reflection. I hadn't really focused on my strengths and weaknesses as far as assessing my potential as an entrepreneur. I feel that I definitely have the positive attitude. The Cliff Oxford article, Introducing the Next Level, Can You Teach Entrepreneurship?, touched home with me, literally. I laughed when he talked about the exit strategy from humidity, heat, and mosquitoes of the Okefenokee Swamp, because I grew up 9 miles from Waycross, Georgia, in a town called Blackshear. We in Blackshear thought of Waycross as the big city. We would travel the 9 miles to Waycross because it had the mall, the movie theater, McDonald's, and the Okefenokee Swamp. A serious point of Oxford's article that I found contradictory to so much of what I've heard in the real business world, he addresses and makes a very sound argument. He wrote, "I hope to dispel the myth that entrepreneurs are born with gut instincts that can't be taught. I believe you can teach entrepreneurship." He goes on to provide examples of his experiences where knowledge from learning would have helped him make better business decisions. In the crowdsourcing drives pod quality, I was intrigued with the description of the Moth Show, with its true stories told live. The article reads, "And while it's true that most of us are not great storytellers, almost all of us have at least one really great story. And even if only 10 of us can articulate it, that still means the moth can harvest up to 30 million great stories." I am definitely going to look up the moth. I found the historical context of native advertising in No BuzzFeed Did Not Invent Native Advertising very interesting. The comparison by New York Times business manager from 1917, Louis Wiley, of paid write-ups to prostitution was an interesting point of view that likens to journalistic integrity. And that concludes my summary of various articles that were included in Reading Packet 1. Thank you.